So far we've covered membership, qualifications, learning, CPD, OSH issues, trends. There's loads there. But let's find out a little bit more about you and your presidency. How's it going so far?
I am having an absolute blast. Honestly, it is probably the highlight of my career so far. It has been one of the greatest honours to be able to represent every single member of IOSH from across the world at global conferences, at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. I'm absolutely blown away by the experience that I'm having, and can't wait for it to continue.
Brilliant. Sounds great. So it'd be great to hear a little bit more about that. So our first question actually comes from a former president himself. So you're the 58th president.
Yeah.
Looking a decade ahead, what is your hope for the 68th president? So looking a decade ahead, what do you see the OSH profession looking like in 10 years' time?
I would love to see the 68th president not having to focus on things like the significant injuries and fatality causes that we have now. I would love to see that ILO number of 7,500 people every single day who die from their work be reduced quite considerably. Um, I think us as a profession, it's one of those really weird ones where actually we kind of want to manage ourselves out
Mm,
almost. We want to be in a position where businesses don't need us because health and safety is so ingrained into the DNA of what they do and how they do it that they almost don't need us for that kind of advice and that kind of management of safety. Um, I think that we are going to be facing an awful lot more challenges around climate change, increasing in hot weather. You know, we we saw 40 degrees, was it last year or the year before or something in the UK, which was
mm.
absolutely unheard of. I would very much like, so I'm the eighth woman,
Yeah,
eighth female president. I would love somewhere between me and 68 to have had kind of hit that double digit at absolute minimum, or getting pretty close to a few more than just 10.
definitely.
Yeah,
Great. So we've got another question from a member. You are a chartered fellow.
I am.
They ask why. Are they missing something in understanding its value or its status?
So, so chartered membership is the highest from a um, kind of competence perspective. So you've been peer reviewed, you've submitted, you submitted evidence to
Mhm.
say that you can do certain things. Chartered fellow is not about your competence. Chartered fellow is around what you do to give back to
Mm.
the profession. There aren't many of us. It's around 1, maybe 2% of the entire membership that are chartered fellows. And you have to have been a chartered member for 5 years, and you have to be giving back. And that could be through volunteering for a committee or on council as part of the presidential team, through all of the different various ways of being able to give back, not just to the institution, but to the profession as a whole. And for me, the reason that I became a chartered fellow is because I had people around me telling me that I should be applying for it. Um, Again, you look at the 1 to 2% of us that are chartered fellows. There are very, very few women in
Mm.
there. My predecessor, Stuart, set up a fantastic campaign around "Put a Pin in It," which was, we need more women. Need more visible women in fellowship. So it's not about, I don't get more pay. It's not necessarily recognised within kind of recruitment or anything like that. But what it does is it gives me this sense of acknowledgement that actually what I've done within my career and within my volunteering experience within IOSH and wider is that that has been recognised, and that that is worthy of being a fellow. And yeah, I would actually say that the day I got my fellowship was probably the highlight of my career before I became president.
And I guess being a fellow, it's about a recognition of your achievements,
Mm.
but it's also sort of publicising that you're one of those members that people can approach and, ask for help within their career and things like that.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't need to be kind of 15, 20 years into your
Mm.
career. As soon as you get your chartership, you can be working towards that fellowship if that's something that you want. And, we recognise people that aren't necessarily volunteers within IOSH, but are doing extraordinary things over and above their day job that are making the world safer and healthier for everybody. I remember putting my application in and was talking about, volunteering at an old people's home and calling bingo on a Sunday, taking my dogs to donate blood, working as a first aider with a rugby team, like all of those things it's all about what we do to make the world a better place.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
that little gold badge is that kind of recognition of it. And it demonstrates for other people that, like, this is what else you can do.
Mm.
Like, you can be competent, you can be great at what you do, but actually you can go even further than that.
And hopefully spread the word so that more people do it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so another member asks, how do you balance a full-time job with your IOSH commitments? Lots of events, webinars and public commitments, etc. Does this not raise concern with your employers?
So I was very fortunate. I had a very, very frank conversation with my boss, who's the CEO of the company I work for, and said, this is an opportunity that comes around once in a career. I want to say yes to as many things as I possibly can. That means that there will be times where I'm not available to do my job. I bought additional annual leave up to the maximum that I could last year as president-elect and have done the same this year. And we essentially have an agreement that if I have a couple of meetings during the day with IOSH or I'm hosting a webinar, if it's anything less than half a day, I take that time and I make it up later on in the week. If I'm attending like a conference that I would normally have to pay for, that I would never ask to go to, I get that as kind of conference and CPD days. If it's something that has absolutely no benefit to the business that I work for, I take it as annual leave. And that works for me and it works for the business that I'm in. For some other people, I know Stuart took unpaid leave last year, so he managed it in a very different way. I know we've had, people who are self-employed and consultants and they get to manage their own diaries as well. But yeah, it is a challenge. And, I talk quite a lot about I have 2 full-time jobs, one that I get paid for and one that I don't. And, but it's also a benefit to my business.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, my business are able to turn around and say, our head of health and safety and environment is the president of IOSH. They are
It doesn't get much better than that, does
absolutely
it?
not. And I think that's the thing is if you have a great team around you, if you have an operational team that get it and understand that it's only for a short time, it feels really long while you're in it, but it's actually only a year, and the benefits that gives the business that you're working with, the benefits that gives you for your career and your professional development is absolutely phenomenal. And if you're in a position where if somebody's thinking about going for it, I would strongly suggest you're having those conversations before you even start applying. And the reality is, I always say it's around 20 days. It's not 20 days. It's not 20 days. But you make it work. You make it work. As long as you've got a good team around you, as long as your family and your support network are supportive of it as well, you can absolutely make it work. It's just long days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Do you wish it was longer than a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really strange. I think like your president-elect year is really fab because you're the number 2. You're working, I was really, really fortunate to work with Stuart. I get on really well with Stuart. And I learned an awful lot from him and was able to learn kind of an awful lot of what was going to be expected of me, whilst not having the spotlight directly on me all the time. And then there was a massive step up when Stuart just went, see ya. And there is this huge step up, and I'm about halfway through now. In fact, I've got about 6 months and 1 week left, and I just feel like I'm just starting to get into the groove of it and really starting to like take hold of it and really enjoy it. And yeah, but I'm not sure whether my boss would want it to be longer than a year.
So this member asks, if there's one thing that you could change about yourself, what would that be?
It's interesting. We were having part of this conversation earlier. I think one of the things that I would change about myself is actually the amount of overthinking that I do. I do an awful lot of overthinking. I will sit and host a webinar and then spend probably most of the following night sitting and thinking about all the things that I stumbled over or should have said better or should have answered that question better and all of that. And that bit I really wish I could turn off. It's useful from as a health and safety professional. I find it really useful because we have a tendency to always think about the worst case scenarios because that's our job, because we're trying to stop those things from happening. But yeah, when it comes to that kind of that inner critic,
Yeah.
I really wish I could shut that up a little bit more.
And finally, and lots of members want to know this, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
So there's a glib one, which is never mix grape and grain, which is an important one I think we all should learn. I think there's two. There's two for me that have really stuck with me. And the first one is, what other people think of me is none of my business, which I really love because actually I think particularly as women, we spend an awful lot of time worrying about what other people think of us. And that's a huge amount of wasted energy. And then the other one is from a phenomenal Maori woman that I met. I met at a panel when I was in Samoa, and I was supposed to be observing. It's a longish story, but it's worth it, I promise you. And so I was observing, hadn't got a seat on the table to talk, and she just breezed in. She took the room completely, sat down, and this other woman was coming around and checking off names, and she went, "My name's not on there, but I have something to say and I need to be at this table." And I made eye contact with her and just went, "Oh, you're like absolute bow down to you." And she went, "Well, what are you doing sitting over there? Come and sit next to me."
Oh, wow.
And she's a phenomenal woman called Wendy Taggy, and she is a breast cancer survivor. She lost her mum and her sister to breast cancer as well. And she has this phrase that she uses in everything that she does, which is live full, die empty. And actually that for me is like, yeah, that's absolutely, we get what? I think somebody broke it down. It's like an average of about 4,000 weeks.
Is that all?
That's it.
Wow.
Like, so like, yeah, like live full,
Yeah.
die empty. Like give it everything, because nobody knows if we get a second chance. Nobody knows if reincarnation or anything else is right or wrong or whatever. But if this is it, if this is the finite time that I have, then absolutely
Make the most of it.
make the most of it. Live it full, die empty.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. I like that. Yeah, that's really good. And she sounds like a phenomenal lady.
She is absolutely wonderful. Absolute inspiration.
Thanks so much for joining us today in the studio, Kelly. It's been really, really great speaking to you.
Thanks for having me, as always.
And thank you for your bravery in answering anything from the membership.